record button.
Oh, that's me, baby. That's me. Although
I've done it.
now the
Well, I don't
record
do it
button is
anymore because
yeah,
I
that's
put
right.
that. I have that record alert thing that I use now. But yeah, I've definitely. We actually need, or Nick has helped me a couple of times. We tend to have a redundant system. Oops, let me hold on. Yeah, hold on for a minute. Let me just take care of a couple things real quick.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Um,
We
so
are
what we
live
usually
in
do is we'll
pre-show.
have. Yeah, I see that. We'll have
Okay.
Nick with another PC take an NDI feed out of our main production and just record everything
Yeah.
as a backup, and that has
Yeah.
saved me more than I care to admit. Hello, everybody, and in YouTube land, in Facebook land. Are you going to Facebook at the same time pre-show?
No. No. I'm doing a long-term experiment with 4K 60. And
Oh, is that right?
so yeah, yeah. And and I have 20 megs upload, and so I'm using 14 of it for my YouTube feed, which
Wow,
breaks the 50% rule, breaks the 60% rule. Um,
wow, crazy.
and
Now,
and
why are you doing that?
why am I doing the experiment?
The 4K, yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Because I have a button that allows for it. That's
That's
why,
right.
Scott.
Well, because all right, here's the backstory. 150 years ago, when I was a little boy, and I had just started out in live streaming back in the standard definition days, I made the argument, and you can go back and look at the video. I made the argument that there is no reason that anybody needs to stream in higher than standard definition except ego.
Hmm.
No reason to do high definition. Standard definition is just fine. Then I did HD and I was like, damn, this looks good.
That was very good.
And
Right.
now I'm in the same point. There is no reason for anybody to stream 4K, much less 4K 60, except
Yeah.
ego. Well, my ego is
Yeah.
much bigger now, so I get
Yeah.
I get a bigger 4K. No, I want to play with it because it is coming. It's going to be the standard for everybody in a period of time, and I want to have a ton of experience with it. For example, I found
Yep.
out that my graphics card would not handle 4K 60 and stream and record without getting wonky. And that was an
Yeah.
RTX 2080 Ti.
Hmm.
So I've replaced it. Don't tell any of my customers, but I stole one out of one of their machines. I stole a
Yeah.
3080 Ti and put it in my own machine, and all those problems went away.
Mm.
So that's what happens when you do 4K 60 is you find out these kind of stupid things that you didn't know before.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Interesting.
want to
Yeah,
do.
we haven't.
I want to know.
Yeah, we haven't done anything at 4K. We actually almost never do 60 frames. We're basically 1080 30, or basically, because most of what we do, like if we were doing sports,
Yes.
we would do 60 frames.
Yes.
But we really haven't seen a need to do 60 for any other reason.
Somebody's going to
And
call
none
you
of
and
our
ask you.
customers has asked for it.
I mean, Rolling Stone's going to ask for it next time they come through.
They that was an interesting gig because they required special cameras. Like they wouldn't let us use our typical PTZ cams, or even our Canon cams. We had to use, I forget what they are now. I'm not a big camera guy, but they were the really high-end production cameras that they also used in their New York studios.
Yep.
So it looked beautiful. It was fantastic looking, and they were basically lockdown cameras. So
Right.
it wasn't super fun from a director's perspective because I wasn't really doing a lot, but it looked gorgeous.
There you go. There you go. Michael says he's going to stick with 720, but he's also on a Wi-Fi connection. So
yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Well, but I want to push the envelope. I want to break the rules. I want to see what there is to be seen so that when people show up there behind me, I can say, okay, this has been my experience. It's not plug and play.
Yeah.
It's experiment.
What's the bandwidth you're
holes.
doing?
Let's
What's
say
the
again.
bandwidth you're doing for the 4K? What's the bandwidth you're doing with the 4K?
I have 20 megs up, and I'm using
20
14
megs
to go 4K
Okay.
60.
Okay.
And then I'm
Because
recording.
that's a real issue
also.
for a lot of the gigs that we do, because most of them are on site,
Yes.
and especially if we're doing conferences, geez, man, conference internet access is biblically expensive.
$1,000 a
And
minute.
so,
Yeah.
And to get somebody to get 10 meg up is like,
Right.
asking
Right.
for a child.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
and we're the same thing. We're a 50% deal. We don't want to go above 50%. So
Yeah, but I'm breaking
Yeah,
that rule.
it's,
So
yeah,
I want to see what happens when you break these rules. Can you be successful
yeah,
consistently as a rule breaker? If so, we need to change the rules.
yeah, yeah.
So there you go.
What's
I'm an
your
idiot.
your
What can I
upload is
say?
20, you said?
It's not my fault. Yeah, 20.
Are you doing a cable, or are you doing what's your internet access? Is it like a
We have
cable deal, or what is it?
AT&T Uverse, which is their upgraded DSL. It's just a telephone line.
Oh, really?
Comes into a modem, a little 2-wire
No kidding.
connection. And
No kidding.
And what they've done is they've just carved up the different frequencies, so they're sending multiple streams.
That's a good test.
We'll see.
Yeah, I like
I mean,
it.
how do I
like
look
it.
on your end?
You look great.
Am I clear?
Yeah, let me put you up on a. I'm going to
How's my-
change this. It's not going to look right for a second. Hold on. Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, what you're sending me is you said 720, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let me bump that up for just a
it
second.
looks like a 720. Yeah.
Where is here? Yeah, that's right. The best I'll send you is 10. Well, I don't want to send you 1080 because that's
Yeah,
gonna be
don't bother.
That'll be 4 megs.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with it.
That's all I've got left.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
Shout out to Tommy Willis in the chat, and Gunner
Tom Willis.
and Michael.
He expressed he was hoping this would be another good show.
Well, we
We'll
had one
see.
good we had one good show once. Actually, it was
that
probably
was
the
some time. How long ago was that?
it was the time you were on back in 2019. It's been 3
It's been that long?
4 years since you've been on the show.
Well,
Yep.
thanks for having me back, Tom.
Well, I probably forgot about that other experience, so that's why.
Let's keep him off the air if we can possibly do it. That Scott guy can't be trusted.
That's right. That's right.
Fair comment. Nothing wrong with that.
No. So today we're going to talk about success in live streaming.
Well, that should be interesting.
So
Hope that goes well for you.
So you were the first one that was willing to come on the air, and I probably didn't tell you the title. So
well.
I just invited you to come on the air, but you can.
What's the worst I could do? Is
what is the worst you could do?
This whole live streaming thing has been pretty cool for me, at least. I was live streaming in 1998. Actually, before that. Remember real audio and real video?
Yeah.
I was doing that actually in 95, 96.
Okay.
Talk about crappy. Oof.
I think my first live stream was, in fact, I got a notification on Facebook the other day because something happened almost exactly a year after my first live stream. And the notification I got was 2009. So my first live stream was 2008. And that was,
that's nice.
That was a while back.
Things have changed a little bit.
Oh my gosh. I found some outfit out in St. Louis or somewhere that would allow me to send my webcam feed to their page. And the player was about this big, 144 would have been great. This was smaller than that, I'm sure. and it was a soccer game. And so, everybody's watching the soccer match on a webcam. So I've got no Zoom. And all it is a bunch of ants running around there. And then you can hear things in the background. Scott, I had 1,000 viewers.
Is that right?
Oh, yes. Because it was so new. And it was like, people would turn in and they say, that might be my daughter right there running across the field. That might be my son in the goal. And it was a tremendous experience. And that's the
cool.
response I got after that, the week after that. I realized then, I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, it's the next big thing.
Yep.
And I'm going to find out everything I can about it. And we're going to go out and make it happen. And, I was using a webcam and a dual core PC, and that was it. I duct taped the webcam to a tripod. And it was soccer. And so we would take the scores and write them on a clipboard and put them in front of the camera. Then I had graphics.
Oh, I love that.
And then the word got around. It was a soccer tournament. The word got around that we were doing this thing. And so all the soccer coaches were coming up to look at it. And I said, hey, guys, talk to the people at home and tell them what's going on the field. Now I had commentary. I mean, I was ESPN. Oh, nice. It was great. Webcam, scoreboard, commentary. Yeah. The only thing I lacked was instant replay. Picked that up a few years later.
I love that. Yeah, that's when I was at Compact Computer, that became HP right before I left. It was 97. We were working on a solution that was embedded web. It was basically embedded webcams for support. And when that happened, I thought, and I was kind of helping that along from a marketing perspective, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I thought, wait a minute, you're going to allow people to be able to see each other on the web? That's it. I'm in. This is it. This is going to be something special. So I've been playing around with it since then. It's neat.
Yeah. The fun thing that gets me is that, there are all these little pockets of people that were out there realizing the same thing at about the same 5-year span, and beginning work, and so I was out there trying every closed circuit TV device I could find to try to get multiple cameras in, and spent, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars, probably thousands of dollars, trying to find a capture card. I didn't even know what they were called, but I was trying to find a PCIe card, or at that point it was PCI card, that would allow me to hook up more than one camera.
When I started the podcasting business, or started podcasting in like 2005 and started PodWorx in 2006, it was 2009 when I realized that you could finally do multi-camera live switching. It was a TriCaster Pro. And when that happened, all hell broke loose in my mind. I thought, okay, that's it. Now that we can do multi-camera broadcasting without having to do post-production, because I hate post-production, just hate it. So the Living in Las Vegas podcast became one of the first live streams that was multi-camera podcasting. That was in 2009. And I just thought, okay, this is I would normally say this is the X, but I won't say that on your show. But it was pretty cool. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. I still think it's the coolest thing in the world, that, we can go out there, and if you put your head down, you can do broadcast quality stuff. I compete with ESPN, CNN all the time.
Sure. From
a quality perspective, and it's doable now. And those guys are using the same equipment that we're using now.
Yes.
In a lot of examples. So it's magical, I think.
I've got contracts with a couple of TV station holding companies to provide their TV stations with vMix systems to use in the event that their main system becomes inoperable. And about 2 months after I shipped one to Tampa, a hurricane came through and shut down their main studio, and they had to use my vMix system to do their whole TV news, weather stuff from a remote location, and somehow
Love
fed it
that.
back into their satellites. Yeah. And, I was
The
talking to the guy the other day, and he
local.
said, we didn't miss a beat. He said, in
That's
fact,
cool.
we may have to get some more of those machines to use all the time.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because the NBC channel here in Vegas got a ransomware attack, and it basically shut them down.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I shut them down hard for, I think it might have been a day or so. And then they kind of crawled back, but man, it was bad for months, not days.
Sure.
There's just all kinds of just little problems constantly happening. They clearly didn't have any kind of backup concept whatsoever for broadcasting.
Yeah. Seeing the behind the scenes of some of these broadcasting outfits is scary. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, well, we can do this, and we'll hook these two wires together with a wire nut, and we'll fix it later. And 4,000 wire nuts later.
Like, what happens if we put these two things? Like, oh gee.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome, Otis. Glad to have you. Otis hates post-production too.
Well, Otis is a smart man. I've always thought that. You got to trust somebody named Otis from Texas. Those people are smart.
Otis was at the Streaming Idiots meetup in 2017 in your old studio.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Well, hello, Otis. Hope things
Yes, he was. And I think in 18, because it was 19 that we did it on the floor of NAB with PTZ Optics.
I think that's true.
And then 2022, we did it at your new studio.
That's right.
We won't be having one this year, unfortunately.
Are you coming out?
I'm not going to be able to make it. I've got too much.
Oh, is that right?
Too much going on.
Mm.
All good things. Nothing to complain about. It's funny. This little idiot from Alabama, is playing with big boys, and it's a lot of fun. And they think I'm just a little idiot from Alabama, and they don't know that there are 1,000 other people in the country that can do what I do. But that's okay.
That'll be our little secret, Tom. Let's not tell people about that stuff.
Right.
All right.
That's right.
No need.
And they don't watch these shows anyway. They don't watch these shows.
Why would they? That's funny. That's funny.
Oh my goodness.
5 minutes till the best show ever.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for coming on with a tech check. That took all of 10 seconds.
Well, I would hope so, given our backgrounds.
It's like, all right, Tom, you got an echo. Okay, Scott, your video looks like crap. All right, let's go. We're fixed.
Ouch.
But
that'll leave a mark.
No, it looked like crap because vMix wasn't cooperating. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
But it really is.
Oh, vMix.
I continue to get calls from people that are struggling with audio, and they're struggling because they're ignorant, and they want to do something, and they think, okay, well, I'll just get a really, really good camera, and then we'll do something with a microphone or something, and they've got it completely backwards.
Well, the best indication of the complexities of audio, because audio is complex, and that is the concept of creating a green room.
Yes.
And so we've done that a number of times for conferences where we'll have a separate vMix PC as our green room, and the signal flow to be able to have the green room hear themselves, talk to a green room director, hear the feed from the live thing, and then when I hit a button, have them come into the live thing, and no longer, that is not trivial.
No.
And I, when we did it the first time, I spent a solid day, maybe 2 days, really, using this little guy here and mapping out my signal flow and everything. And and I'll tell you, it's like I said, it's not trivial, but once it's done, man, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yes, it is. As long as it doesn't break.
So and we had tried another solution that purported to do that same kind of green room thing. I really wanted it to work, but everybody's firewall was blocking it, like everybody's. And so I couldn't use it.
Wow.
And it's a really cool
but vMix call went through.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it did.
Huh.
And so, and you know, we've had it on vMix call, we've had it many times where the peer or the direct peer-to-peer doesn't work, but the other one does work. That happens quite a bit actually, behind VPNs. But this other software solution, I just couldn't get it work, period, at all.
Wow.
And so I really wanted it to work for this conference, but I had to just say, we're just going to rebuild the green room because you can't have it.
Yep.
You know, so, but yeah, it's the audio stuff's not trivial. And most people don't really pay attention to the quality of the audio either.
The viewers do.
Well, they do. If I can't hear it, I won't watch it.
I'm out of here.
And that's the deal. Yeah. And you know, one of the things that I impress upon our clients is I'm a musician, and it used to be a full-time musician. And so the audio stuff's really important to me. And it's going to be hard. I'm a bit of a cusser, everybody.
Quite all right. You have forgiven us in advance.
So yeah, I'm somewhat obsessed with making sure people can hear what we're doing.
Yeah. The guy that taught me audio was a former radio audio engineer turned copyright and trademark lawyer in North Carolina. And he spent a month helping me understand the concept of a mix minus. Could not understand that to save my life. It just bounced off my head. And then one day, click. And once that clicked, all of the rest of it made sense. But it was
Remember, we used to use a Telos.
Jeez.
Yeah, when I was doing podcasts without video, we were using a Telos rig for mix minus telephone calls. And man, in the beginning, that was relatively complex stuff.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of those.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, we're about out of time here in our little warm-up.
Well, thanks for the interview, guys. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, that's right. That was the good stuff right there.
Good night, everybody. You've been fantastic.
And that is the problem with talking so much, is that you know, I've been careful not to ask you the questions that I want to ask you later. Did you see the write-up I did about this show?
I saw what you did on Facebook.
Let's see. What did
you say? Oh yeah, the checkered. The checkered past.
The checkered past. I knew you'd like that.
Geez, Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell's going on here?
You weren't supposed to say that
studio,
live.
I say nice things about you.
Yeah. No, it just, you know, in the live streaming world, you know, you, in my mind, you are one of those really, really super successful pirates of the 17 and 1800s. You know, that just goes out there and does what he thinks is right, and just has gold hidden everywhere.
Oh, that's super nice.
As a result.
So,
exactly. So yeah, and it's
I feel like
and
every patch.
Every good pirate has a checkered past. Yeah.
There's my patch.
There you go. All right. Let's switch over to the show. So I'm going to mute you for a second, and then we'll get this ball rolling. Thanks to everybody that showed up. Yeah, Michael says time's up. Get moving. And yeah, let's see. We've got a button on the X keys. For anybody that's interested, yes, we're still using the X keys XK80 that has all sorts of handwritten buttons on it, and that's the beauty of that little rascal. Yeah, let's do a show. What? Yeah, it's me. Hey, welcome. Glad you're here. When the show starts and I do that kind of like, the show is just starting and you haven't already been watching for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, but we also record the show separately. And so this is the official beginning of the Streaming Idiot Show. I'm Tom Sinclair. Glad you're here. Really excited about my guest today. Um, People like Scott only come around, um, I'd say a half a dozen times in a lifetime, at least in my lifetime, where I meet people like this. Most of them are in jail now, but that's okay because it's it's just the way I'm watching him laugh in the green room. Um, but before we get into Scott, a couple things coming up. Um, we are putting together a series, or maybe not a series, but it might be more than one show on the battle of PTZ cameras. We're going to pull in every PTZ camera we can find and put them to work and find out the three things we like about them and the three things we don't like about them. And we'll do different price points and different resolutions, that kind of thing, so that we're doing apples to apples as much as we can. So if you've got a particular camera you'd like us to take a look at in that, let me know and I'll see if I can't get my hands on one, but beg, borrow, or steal. And we'll do that. And so that's coming up, in the future, the battle of the PTZ camera. It's kind of like the battle of the bands. Also coming up, we are going to be doing our vMix 101 class again. So if you're thinking, golly, gee, I wish I knew more about vMix, and could fill in the gaps in my knowledge, or I'm just starting out and I need somebody to kind of lead me by the hand, that's what the class is intended for. It's a 6-week class, 2 hours, 1 afternoon a week online, live, so you can ask questions. And we'll have the information on our website right up here before too long. So look for that coming up in the future too. So what can I say about my guest? I guess before I say anything, I probably ought to turn his audio on. But I've known Scott for, I guess, what would you say, 6 years, 7 years, Scott, something like that,
Yeah, I think so.
2016-ish.
Yeah.
And kind of bumped into him, and he was kind of this curious guy, and again, one of those people that you only meet, a few times in your lifetime, that you can tell is just immensely talented and probably doesn't even realize how talented they are. And is also immensely brave because he'll try anything. And so he's like, what the hell is he talking about?
By the way, I was acquitted that last time, just so you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Scott sent me his bio, and none of this stuff is in his bio. But Scott, he's got the credentials. If you heard of a company called Compact Computers, Scott had a gig as the director of marketing for Compact, and then they got purchased by Hewlett Packard. So obviously he did a good job at that. But Scott, give us that elevator synopsis of who you are and what you do, and then I'm going to shoot you with a bunch of questions.
Sure. Yeah, so I jumped into the entrepreneurial water. By the way, thanks for having me, Tom. I jumped into the entrepreneurial waters in 1998, having left Compact Computers, started a company called Whitney Communications. It was a website design company. And that company did pretty well and was doing that for a number of years. About 2000, I decided to record a Christmas CD for my website design clients. And I play solo guitar, which is when you perform the bass and the chords and the melody all at one time. And you can't see it in your shot, but the guitar I played is back here. And I recorded a CD called Christmas Acoustic. And I decided to give it out to all my friends and all my clients, about 30 copies. And I started telling people about it. And next thing you knew, about 30 days later, I'd sold about 660 copies of this CD. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And I had burned every one of these CDs at home and used a black and white printer and sent them out. And I thought, this is something. So the next year I bought a color printer and sold 5,400 CDs from my house and thought, okay, this is pretty cool. Recorded another CD. And this is about 2000. And I got married and decided to test my marriage by asking my new wife, Melissa, wife 2.0, to be the shipping manager for the next wave. And we sold 15,500 CDs. The next year, we went on to sell 55,000 CDs of my music. And I thought, this is pretty neat. I should get into the music thing more. And so I was playing out a bit. And I started a company called PodWorx Music. We sold an additional 100,000 CDs of my music and some friends' music. And we were doing branded music CDs. About 2004, we were focusing on the branded music CD business. And one of the kinds of music we had was relaxation music. Now in 2004, June of 2004, iTunes said that iTunes 4.7 would support podcasting. Now, I didn't know what a podcast was, but I thought this is a Fortune 100 company. I should look into it. And I figured out what a podcast was. And I thought I should do a podcast. So one of the types of music we had was relaxation music. So I decided to do the Great Relaxation Music Podcast. So August 1st, 2005, we launched this podcast. And using my best NPR voice, it was like, welcome to the Great Relaxation Music Podcast. And then we play a couple songs. And then at the end of every episode, we had a call to action, which is super important. And the call to action was, come to our website and listen to any of our songs. Well, that podcast increased sales by 23%. And I thought, whoop, this is important to see. Podcasting has a business plan.
Now, this was just an audio podcast, right? Just audio
strictly
podcast.
Audio podcast.
Download it, listen to it.
So that's right. That's right. So at the same time, we had just moved to Las Vegas in 2005, August of 2005. It was the Wild West from a real estate perspective. So for example, we were building a new house here in Vegas, and the pool builder that we hired included a 200-gallon-a-day leak underneath our deck, which is not a feature. And the landscaper we found thought the $1,800 deposit was a gift, and he just disappeared. So there was crazy stuff going on. I thought, we should talk about this. So I was talking to my wife, Melissa, and I'm like, you know what? This podcasting thing is pretty cool. You can go out there and tell people stuff, and they listen to you. And she said, why would anybody want to listen to you? which I thought was super supportive. But actually what she did,
you got to have somebody to speak the truth like that to you. You really got to have it.
And she is that person to this day. And so it made me think, okay, if I'm going to do anything, I have to figure out what the measure of success is for this podcasting stuff, because nobody was talking about that. So we figured it out.
Right.
And what it really comes down to was there's two groups of people that matter, right? There's the audience, and then there's the producer. So for the audience, I have to either entertain them or educate them, or preferably both.
Right.
And then for the producer, I have to either make them money or motivate people to take action on their behalf. Right. Well, I already proved I could make money because I was selling CDs, so I thought, well, how can I test the other part? So January 12th, 2006, I launched the Living in Las Vegas podcast. Melissa, my wife, was the co-host. Our very first episode, we talked about the realtor who we used to find our house. I mentioned her one time, first episode, brand new podcast. She got 2 deals directly related to that episode. The minute that happened, I realized podcasting is it. Yep. Podcasting can change the way you do business. So August 1st, 2006, I launched PodWorx, which today is an internet broadcasting company. We specialize in podcasts, live streaming video productions, and TV channel development. We are profitable in 30 days and haven't looked back. And since then, we've started the Vegas Video Network, Vegas Video Co-op, Livestream Las Vegas, and the Scott Whitney Academy. So that's what I do today.
And what do you do in your spare time?
Day drink.
That's right. Oh my goodness.
I play with the stuff behind me is what I do in my spare time.
So did you know when you were working for Compaq that you were not a good fit for that? And that you really were an entrepreneur?
I didn't know, but I
Yeah.
kind of knew. So when I first started there, I actually I was hired by a company called Tandem, which was a supercomputer company. They were hot. So I was hired on a Friday. Monday, they announced that they were bought by Compaq. That's why I worked for Compaq.
Gotcha.
So it went from a small, it's 7,000 employee Silicon Valley company to being owned by Compaq in Houston with, I don't know, 8,000 employees. I was never going to be the guy for Compaq. Every time I went to Houston, they're asking, when are you going to move to Houston?
Right.
Never. And when HP bought them, it became, and they bought digital, it was like 80,000 employees. I was never going to be a player there. At the same time, I thought I really wanted to test to see if I could run my own business for a couple years. I just wanted to go out there, see how it would work, and then I'd go back into the executive track in the Silicon Valley area. But when I jumped, I really liked it. Now, in the beginning, like I was doing the website stuff, I was up to all hours of the morning, a bit wide-eyed of, will I be able to do this? But the very first website I did was a $20,000 website. So I realized that business, and by the way, we still do websites for selected clients. So once I did that for the first year, second year, third year, I thought, well, this is, I happen to like my boss. My boss likes me. I is the boss. So I can do whatever I want. But there's also, of course, downward pressure associated with that. So you have to be good at selling. I'm pretty good at selling. As a matter of fact, I teach that.
How did you learn it?
That was a huge help. Well, I learned from a guy at one of the companies I worked at prior to Compaq.
Okay.
I've always been kind of sales focused. I've always thought that, without sales, nothing happens.
Right.
And I'm one of those guys, most people think sales is a dirty word. It's the used car sales thing. And that's, if you believe that, you've been misled. Sales is a gift. Sales is about service. When I talk about sales with people, when I teach them about it, one of the first questions I ask is, do you really in your heart of heart believe that what you do is helpful for people? And most people say yes. I said, if you really believe it, I mean, really, in the dark times when no one's around, and you're not telling everybody that you possibly you can help them, you're being selfish. So part of what we teach is how to get comfortable, how to remove fear, how to remove uneasiness when selling your own service so that you can help as many people as possible, while at the same time helping yourself. So once I got into that mindset, it's been pretty good from a business perspective. And by the way, I said I was a web guy, I'm a music guy, I'm a podcast guy. All of those three things are hobbies for other people. And if you want to put downward pressure on your ability to sell, compete against people who do what you do for free or because it's fun.
Yep.
And so I've competed against that the whole time. And it's never been a problem from us because I understand how to separate ourselves from the competitive herd. When I was first doing websites, I'd be at a party and go ahead.
No. Were you always this confident as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident at what I'm good at. I mean, if you want me to, sing an aria, you're in deep shit. But,
no,
but if
we turn back the clock and we go back to the 12-year-old Scott Whitney. Was he a confident kid?
Well, so the 12-year-old Scott Whitney was very, very small for my age.
Okay.
So I was nervous. I was scared a lot because of my size. So I got funny because you don't typically beat up the class clown. So, and I got quick. So I was verbally pretty quick, pretty young.
Yeah.
So I was good at debate and I was good at being funny and getting people to kind of chill out a little bit. So that helped, and that was helping. I was good at what I did. I was a good drummer, a good musician. I was usually among the best among my peers. So that was helpful, of course. But when it comes to the businesses that I do, I've always understand that nobody cares what I do. They only care what I do for them.
Right.
So I look at everything that I do business-wise, I look for the problem. Is there a problem that I can solve? Is there a recognized need that I can deal with? I've come up with other ideas for businesses that I thought were really cool, but really didn't have a problem. And I've seen big businesses do that. When I was doing podcasting at the very beginning, I worked with a number of high-end Fortune 10 companies, and like I was the voice of Polycom for a very long time for their podcast. And we would do pre-interviews, and a couple of times I interviewed a product manager, and I'd ask them, so what problem do you solve? And they're like, well, we don't really know. I'm like, pre-interview's over. I don't care that you can invent because it's cool. You've got to tell me what problem you solve. And so we need to go and think about that. So my confidence is because I know I solve a problem. And I know that people who work with, just like I said before, people who work with us are in a better place as a result of that.
There you go. All right. When is the next Scott Whitney Academy?
So what we're doing for
Or is
the
it
Academy
ongoing?
is, yeah, it's ongoing. We're not doing group teaching. What we're doing is one-on-one training.
Oh, wow.
We found it was better for the people I'm working with to work with them one-on-one. And we have a number of different trainings at the Scott Whitney Academy website. The main one that most people do is what's called Sell Yourself Fearlessly.
Gotcha.
And so it's us working together for 5 weeks in a row. And the idea behind that is to help folks who are really good at what they do, but hate sales. The intent is to remove fear and uneasiness when they're selling their own product or service so that they can uncover more opportunities, spend more time on the things that they enjoy, and ultimately earn the money they deserve. So it's 5 weeks, one-on-one, and it's customized directly for that specific person.
Oh,
we also
wow.
have some other online training. Probably the coolest online training is a thing called the 5 prerequisites to closing any deal. And this is a core component of the overall Scott Whitney Academy, but basically there's 5 things that have to happen before you can close any deal. And if these 5 things don't happen, you cannot close any deal. As a matter of fact, I tell anybody who I work with, you tell me any deal that you lost, I don't care what it is, I can guarantee you, I can tell you why it failed. And so these 5 prerequisites tell you what they are and then tell you how to manage the 5. So that while you're working with a prospect, you know exactly where you are in the account and what needs to be done to close them and move them forward to start helping them. And that's on the website. It's an online course as well.
Why are we as live streamers talking about sales and selling and things like that?
Well, I don't know. Well, what do you mean?
No, you do know. Because even if you're a live streamer, if you can't sell yourself and your product and your service,
you're dead.
That's the end of
it. You're doomed. Yeah, it is. And
unless mom's writing a check.
There's a cool equation that I teach, and that is your offer equals outcome plus deliverables. So your offer equals outcome plus deliverables. And what most people do is they focus on the deliverables because they tend to be tangible, right? So, and if you want to talk about live streaming, what's the deliverables of a live stream? Well, it's the live stream. Could be a recording, for example.
Sure.
And so people spend a lot of time focusing on that. I see a lot of live streamers talk about their equipment. I don't give a damn about your equipment, just so you know. I don't care.
How many doctors talk about their scalpels?
That's right. I don't care about the deliverables. It'd be the equivalent of a realtor saying, you should list with me because I'm going to do this. I'm going to make flyers. We're going to have an open house. I'm going to put you on Zillow. And I could care less about any of that. What I want you to do is sell my house.
That's right.
Right. So for live streamers, it's not about the live stream and it's not about the recordings or the cameras or the fancy stuff that you could do. Don't care. It's what those things do for me. What's the outcome as a result of that? And they have to know how to articulate that. And if you do know how to do that, if you do know how to explain that, I'm going to close the gap between you and your client so you can sell more stuff without dealing with technical complexities or looking like an idiot. If you can explain that and make them feel good and help them understand what the sales and marketing aspects of that, closing deals isn't that hard.
Okay. Let's pretend for a minute that I'm a young kid, mid-20s, and I want to have my own live streaming production studio like my favorite pirate. And that's right. How do I find customers? How do I get clients? What do I do? How do I start?
Yeah. So, it's in the beginning.
And
First
I'll
of all,
send you a check for this one. I'll
yeah,
pay for this
I'm
one.
not a
This is not
proponent of
free.
giving stuff away, by the way.
I know that.
A lot of people talk about just give it away to get stuff. I've never given anything away, ever. I just don't do it because it discounts the value eventually. It's the Napster problem, right? Napster gave away MP3 files, and then when they decided to sell them, no one went with them. Now, wait a minute. What about iTunes? Yeah, but they never gave it away.
That's right.
So they didn't have a marketing challenge that said stuff is free.
Yeah.
That's right. So I'm not a big believer in discounting your value. As a matter of fact, in my training, I teach people as a practice to increase their pricing at least 20 to 25% every year.
Yes.
And that happens all the time.
Yes.
So the first thing you have to do is make sure that what you're doing is of value, meaning you have to understand what problem you solve. And so this happens a lot in Vegas, by the way. There's a lot of people building studios because it's cool. And it is cool.
It is.
But they're doing it for like $60 an hour. And we're like, how the hell are you making a living charging $60 an hour for a studio? I don't get it. We charge $700 an hour for the first hour. And people pay it all the time. So the thing you have to understand is, okay, what problem do you solve? And the niche is probably a good idea, right? So what problem do you solve? What's the niche that you can lock into so you can start making a word for yourself? You can't be all things to all people. And I see this a lot too. I see people who do studios with all kinds of neat things, and they, come one and come all.
Sure.
But it's too broad. And so it doesn't really work that way. So when we started the Vegas Video Network, we said, listen, this is a live broadcast and podcast studio, period. That's all we care about. We're not doing anything else. We're just doing this. If you're interested in doing that work, come see me. And we'll put you on and we'll broadcast you. We'll put you on TV. We'll put you all over the place. And you'll pay us for that, right? And so you've got to understand your niche. You got to make sure that the output is good. The deliverable does have to be good, but that's a checkbox. And then you've got to start looking for people who want to do stuff but don't know. See, that's the other thing. Most people don't know they could use a live stream solution because they just don't know, right? Or what I do a lot is I look for people who are screwing up, right? So I see somebody, this happens all the time.
You're a fireman.
I'll see somebody do a live stream. Yeah. So I'll see somebody doing a live stream and you're using their phone and it looks like a hostage video, right? Because it's all shaky and the sound is crappy and the lighting is terrible and they can't figure out what's going on. So one of the things that I do to get somebody's interest is called a glimpse of value. And so that is to say, hey, I saw your live stream. I have some feedback on that might be helpful. Would you be open to that or no? Most people want to be smart. Most people don't want to be dumb. So if I say, I've got some ideas that might stop you from getting hurt, would that be of value? Most people will want to know that. And then we'll engage. And then it's just my job to find out whether we're a fit or not. And oftentimes we're not a fit, either for budgetary reasons or whatever.
Right.
We're not a fit for everybody. But
today
it does work. I mean, yeah.
Today.
I mean,
but they're going to call you in 2 years when they've tried a bunch of other
that's
things.
happened, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's happened. And that's cool. I reached out to a guy who owns a club here. And I thought, I've been to his club and I thought he should do a live stream thing. So I reached out to him and, did a curiosity creating question. He goes, oh yeah, no, we have all that stuff. I'm like, oh, great. Where is it? Can I see your stuff? Well, I said, well, let me just show you a couple things. Well, and then he started asking me questions. And I'm like, this guy's in trouble.
Yeah.
And he just started and he's in trouble. He hadn't done anything and he's in trouble. So we ended up going to his place and he spent all kinds of money on a mini TriCaster and some really nice PTZ cameras, but none of them were doing anything. And so we actually were moving forward to doing a consultation with him. And we took the foot off the gas because he hadn't finished with his other consultant yet. So we didn't want to jump into that. So we said, well, you go ahead and take care of this. I can pretty much predict it's not going to go well. And then we'll come in there and we'll do it right. And we'll create a whole pay-per-view environment for you. We'll put you on TV if you want. We'll do all that cool stuff. But you gotta get through your initial consultation first with this other guy or gal or whoever it is.
I love it. I love it.
It's a great business to be in.
Do you ever just wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, great idea? And you have to write it down?
Livestream Las Vegas was that. Yeah.
Middle of the night.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was, what was happening was remember I said in the pre-show in 2009, we started using TriCasters for multi-camera stuff.
I've heard of
that. That was primarily in the beginning for my own podcast. And in 2010, we started Vegas Video Network. We bought a TriCaster 850, which was an 8-camera, I think it was $37,000 TriCaster. And so we thought, this is pretty cool. It'd be neat to be able to do this remotely. And so we bought like a TriCaster 460. I think that was $16,000 at the time. And they're heavy and kind of bulky and they're just a pain in the ass. But we were doing these remote stuff, but it was really hard. And I'd have to have cameramen and it just, I hated it. And so one day I thought there's got to be a way to make this easier with fewer people. And that's when I got onto the PTZ deal. And that's how I found you, by the way. It was at the end of 2016.
Okay.
I started doing research about software and PTZ cameras. And the idea, and what I really liked the idea is to be able to control the PTZ cameras myself as the director.
Sure.
And not have to have camera guys and just have a smaller kit, if you will.
Right.
And so I spent the last quarter of 2016 inventing Livestream Las Vegas. And we had a bunch of, not a bunch, we had a number of start and stops too. Initially, I thought, I was doing the research and they were saying, wait a minute, you can have a single Ethernet cable and it will provide power and it will provide control and a video stream. I'm like, holy crap, that's magic. Now, the video stream was an RTSP. It was before NDI. And the PoE wasn't actually just directly in. You had to get a splitter and do all kinds of crap. And the RTSP stream was terrible. So I bought the equipment. I bought a PTZ 3 PTZ cameras from a model or a company I mention, and that didn't work. So we ended up doing SDI and Ethernet coming out of these cameras, but the control stuff worked, and that was pretty cool. And that's when I realized we can literally go on site and within a couple hours be up and ready and going. Right. And so that's what started Livestream Las Vegas, and that's the thing that I have Nick with me with, is that business, and that changed everything. That's a big part of our business is the live streaming on site stuff. And we've gone through a number of iterations. We've changed cameras a number of times. After the first bunch of cameras, we went with Sony SRG 300s. And those are good cameras, but they also are a little bad with low lighting. The first cameras were really bad with low lighting. And these cameras were bad-ish with low lighting. So it became stressful when we were doing concerts. And in Vegas, there's a lot of that. So, and a lot of conferences that have really crappy but super dramatic.
Oops, Scott, you're breaking up. Hold on. We got to wait for you to. The Las Vegas internet has taken a dip. If you want to see if you can't reduce your vMix resolution back to me, that might work.
There we go.
There we go.
Here, I'll come in. I'll do that one and see if that works.
Hiccup
There we
avoided.
go. Yeah. So with the SRG 300s, we did that for a number of years, and but it was always a hassle with low lighting environments, of which there are a lot here. And so we eventually started looking at bird dogs.
Right.
And Bird Dog, I'll tell you one thing, Bird Dog and PTZ Optics are the two best companies when it comes to reaching out to their customers. They are very, very good at being accessible and talking to people, and it's impressive. And so we ended up getting initially 3 P400s, and those cameras changed everything for me. I have so much less stress because of those cameras. Their optics are fantastic. And without going into the technicalities, the measurement for anybody who's live streaming is you can do a wide shot and get a good thing, but if you zoom in, right, the iris gets small and things get darker. And that's always the problem. And you see this all the time in crappy live streams where one shot's super bright and one shot's really dark. Well, that's one of the problems. So our measurement was, can I set an f-stop where it looks good here, but also looks good there? And we found that with the with the Bird Dog cameras, where life is just lovely for us now. And so we ended up buying 3 P240s because they're the exact same cameras as the P400s optically. They just don't have the 4K capability, but everything else is exactly the same. So now we have, in essence, 6 cameras that are all matched, and we just love it. The PT or the Bird Dog guys have done a lot of iterative things to their computer or to their cameras and their UI and all that stuff. It's getting better. Sometimes it can still be a little nutty. Like one of our cameras, web UI is a little rough, but their cam control software is pretty slick, and we love it. And what I really cared about was their joystick. So I've always wanted to be able to do, and we occasionally do live moves while you're watching it.
Right.
And that can be a little risky. And before I used a joystick, I used my regular keyboard to move the camera around.
Right.
So I just used my number pad to do that.
Right.
Well, there's not a lot of precision available there. And so with the latest iteration of the Bird Dog stuff, I can do human-like movements on these PTZ cameras now that are just fantastic. So I can follow people around and I can do my little zoom, especially in bands. It's great. So I love that stuff. It's fantastic.
It's the promise of PTZ cameras from years ago.
It is. It is. It is. It's neat. It's neat.
Folks, isn't he a resource? I mean, Scott has been, I mean, if you were like a world traveler, you'd be a 1,000,000-mile guy in live streaming. I mean, that's it. You've paid your dues. You paid them early and often. I understand how that goes. But folks, this is what success in live streaming looks like. This is what it sounds like. And it also sounds like you're not done yet.
I don't think so. The good news for us is that we're still having fun. A while ago, when you first start a company, you basically take any deal because you're just keeping the company alive. And I don't know, about 10 years ago, I said, yeah, hell with that. So now I'm going to work with only people I like. And so what's great about my job now and the companies that we work with is we like every one of them. They're all cool people doing neat stuff, and they're friendly, and we get along, and we like each other's company, and all that makes for a pretty cool work environment. And so we can make a good living at this. But I'm not building houses. I'm not out on the roofs doing roofing. This is not terribly difficult physically at all. There's some mental aspects to it, of course. Running a business is mental, and the business we find ourselves in, right? There's there's a lot of technical stuff there, audio, video, networking, all that stuff. So it does keep you on your toes from a mental perspective, which is good news, right? I don't want to not be thinking. So this business we find ourselves in is really good for mental calisthenics. It keeps you thinking, and I dig that, right? So we get to do neat things and work with cool people, and you can't beat it. So yeah, I'm in no rush to retire. If I want to, I could, but right now we're doing neat stuff, so why do it?
So is there a next big thing for you?
Not
yet.
I don't know. I don't think I have a next big thing. One of the big things that we did probably a couple, 3 years ago was TV channel development. So a number of our clients had content that I thought was reasonable to be on TV. And so back in 2011, the Vegas Video Network placed itself on Roku. And the story behind why you would do that, we actually have a whole talk about that on one of our websites. But in essence, if you think about the sales and marketing effort that all companies go through, from a video perspective, if you recognize that 80% of all internet bandwidth is video, that tells you that video is important to people, right? So if video is important to people, which it is, and those people are your customers or your prospects, which they are, well, then video should be important to you. So you have to think about, okay, if I'm creating videos, where am I putting it? Because the marketing person's job, marketing people make this very complex. It's not. Marketing's job is 2 steps. 1, get yourself where the people are. And 2, say something compelling, something that motivates people to take action on your behalf. So get there, say something compelling. So what do most people do now with that video content? Well, they put it on either mobile devices or desktop computers, right? Like if I put like your video here on YouTube, I can watch it on my phone or I can watch it on my desktop. So that's 2 screens. But the problem with that, especially for businesses that are doing that, is there are some limitations to that. Primarily, especially if you're a B2B, actually to B to anybody. If you're putting this content out during the regular workday, you're hoping people will watch my videos during the regular workday, but they're working. And most companies don't like people looking at YouTube videos or Facebook videos during the workday. So people aren't consuming that stuff when you want them to do that. Some companies actually prevent it. So if you think about it that way, I want people to watch it. When do people get their own way when it comes to video? And that is when they're home. And that's when they watch TV. TV is the first screen, right? I can go home and I can sit there with my 75-inch TV in front of me with a beer in one hand and a remote in the other and go, I want to watch stuff that either entertains or educates. Well, most people who are doing good video for their business is either educational or entertaining. So why wouldn't I put myself where people are? Well, how much are people watching TV? Well, the average American watches 5 hours and 4 minutes of TV a day. A day.
Get out.
They're voting with their butts. Yeah. And so if you look at smart TV sales, they're growing. And you look at people who are spending most of their time watching TV, typically after work, right? So if I get home at 6, I do 5 hours, I'm watching TV till 11. Why wouldn't I want my content where people are? And that's TV. And so what we do is we've developed Roku channels for a number of our clients who want to be where their clients are. Now, I don't care how you want to watch my content. Want to watch it on TV? Cool. Want to listen to it in your car? Cool. Want to watch it on your screen at your computer? Cool. I'm agnostic. I don't care how you watch it or listen to it. I just want to make it easy for you to do so. So what we do is we help people launch their own TV channel. And it's pretty cool. And we've been doing that, like I said, since 2011 for the Vegas Video Network. And now we're doing it for other clients as well. It's fun.
I can tell.
There's
Well,
something pretty special about turning on your TV and seeing your name up there. It's neat.
it's scary. Yeah. It makes expectations really high. It's like, oh crap. I mean, that's
Well, you are
why we
competing
named this the
now.
Streaming Idiot Show, because we want to keep expectations really low.
Well, and I will say this, when I'm talking to a potential customer about that, what I tell them is I'm going to do the same thing that the biggest media companies in the world do: Netflix, HBO, ESPN. They're on Roku. As a matter of fact, the other competitors of Roku, Fire TV, Amazon, and Apple TV, Apple, they're both on Roku too. which is like saying I'm ABC and asking CBS, you guys have better ratings. Can I put our stuff on your channel? That's insane. That's exactly what's happening on Roku. And Roku is agnostic. They don't, if you go on Apple TV, it's very, or actually if you go on Fire TV, it's very Amazonian, as you might expect. Roku isn't like that. On a Roku TV, you can put your content, your channels in any order you want. So it's just magic, I think. So I'm a big believer of the idea of putting your content, but you do compete now with other people who are also on Roku. The truth of the matter, the vast majority of non-major media channels are bad. What we do is we teach people how to create content that actually motivates people to take action on their behalf.
I love it. I love it. You got it figured out for today, anyway, till the internet stops working.
Yeah, I'm screwed if that happens. That, by the way, that's the biggest stress I have in my business. Actually, that's the biggest stress is internet connectivity problems.
Sure.
That and the fact that all NDI for all your cameras still has never worked perfectly for me. That it pisses me off. But the internet connection stuff, that's what, like the system I have here, I have a Sonic Wall a router, and we have 3 separate internet connections coming into this router. So I have Cox, which is my business connection. I have a second Cox coming in here. I also have Verizon coming in here. So if one fails, it fails over to the other one. That's how paranoid I am about internet connection.
Yep. Well, you're right to be. Yeah. I'm not paranoid. I'm just stupid and cheap. So there we go. Yep. And also I'm on a dead end, so I'm never going to get anything here ever, unless it's over the air. Yep.
So my Verizon's backup is over the air. So it's their 5G that then is wired into my router.
Gotcha.
So and it's it's like 150, 30 or something like that.
Okay.
More than enough to do the job.
Right.
As a backup.
Right.
It's not my primary play, but if I need it, I'll do it.
There you go. You've been a prince to spend time with us. I called you a pirate earlier, but really you're a prince.
Yeah. Are we going to ask some of these questions? There's some good questions up there.
You want to do that? Let's do some questions. Let's do that. Let's do that in the post show. Let's flip over to the post show, and then we can just be question driven. So
I'll tell you what. I'll do a thing for you. If anybody who's listening wants to take the Scott Whitney Academy class, the 5 prerequisites to closing any deal, you can use the coupon code IDIOTS.
Oh. And
we'll take 50% off.
I'm sorry, you say 15%?
50.
50%.
Yeah. ScottWhitneyAcademy.com.
You have to spell idiots correctly, though. You misspell it, you're screwed.
Yes, you do. That's super important.
Okay, sit tight, Scott Whitney. We'll be right back with the post show.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
All right. There we go. We're in the post
Hello.
show.
How exciting.
We're in the post show.
I made it all the way through.
You
Nice.
did. You did good. You know, just you're so easy. You know, you just flip you out a couple of questions and just like, you know, get out of the way. Don't ask any more questions. Just let him talk. Give him a little steering question.
Dance for us, monkey boy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So yeah, let's see. Ed asks, do you teach how to set up a channel on Roku?
I can.
You can. But it's not one of your normal offerings. But as a consultant, you could
most
be employed
people
to do that.
Yeah, no. So the people who hire us want us to set up the Roku channel, not teach them how to set up the Roku channel.
Gotcha.
And then just maintain it for them. But yeah, under a consultation deal, I can show you how to do that.
Gotcha. That's right. What's the next piece of gear that you would like to get? Says Ed.
We want for nothing. we went on a buying spree last year. As a matter of fact, we bought, the beast, what we call the beast from you.
Yep.
Which was the i9 lunchbox, which is basically our main idea. I don't really like coming with laptops, so we got these nice lunchbox. We have two of them now. We have one from you, the beast, and one that we actually had built from Acme at the beginning of Livestream Las Vegas, actually. And that was the last big purchase we did, along with the cameras, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know that I really need anything to do the job. And we're in a good position so that if we do need it, we can just go out and get it, typically.
Ed, I appreciate you asking that
don't
question. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want for anything. It's what do you recommend? What am I missing?
What are you missing? 4K 60, man. Get on the front of the curve.
Well, I've got the P400s for that. I just don't,
P400s.
So here's the thing.
4K 30 is P400.
Oh, is that right? What are you using to do your what camera are you using?
I'm playing with the new PTZ Optics Move 4K.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is a 12X that I'm using here, and it allows me to make those fine adjustments as a PTZ camera. Plus, it's 4K 60 over NDI-HX.
Oh, it's NDI-HX.
Yeah,
I tell you what. So I had the Bird Dog boys on for a while. We were having problems with the whole pure NDI thing, and we got close. And we've got the Netgear M4250, blah blah blah, all set up for NDI and on the ports and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it looked like we were going to be able to finally do single cable for everything. We went to a gig we had in Florida, looked it all up, complete failure.
Ouch.
Complete and utter failure, like frame rate of about 2. And we're like, well, that sucks. But I had told Nick we're going to be packing SDI cables in case this happened. It did.
Right.
What was interesting was that if we, how on NDI you can change it to low bandwidth.
Right.
Within the vMix system, we would do that and it would clear itself up. And then go back to regular bandwidth and it would kind of work for a bit and then fail again, go back to low bandwidth, it would clear itself up, but we can't use low bandwidth because the resolution is crappy.
Right.
So we don't know if it's a camera issue or if it's the lunchbox that we're using. We're just not sure of it, but I will tell you, between us girls, I was pissed when that happened because I really want this thing to work.
Yep.
Where I can just do one cable.
Yep.
So somebody actually asked about, do you believe all NDI? And the answer is no. I can't.
Not yet. Yeah, that's Michael.
Yeah, can't do it.
All right. Tommy says, don't forget to click on the thumbs up. Thank you, Tommy.
Yes.
Yeah, give us a like. Give us a like.
Tell a friend.
So you've got 3 P240s and 3 P400s.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that Bird Dog is going to have to do a 4K 60 camera here pretty quickly. They're just going to be,
Yeah,
they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to stay out there. The advantage that the PTZ Optics guys have is that it's NDI-HX. So you don't have the network issues that you do with full NDI, because it's coming in at, 36K.
Instead of 140.
Yeah. Or in the case of 4K 60, 200.
Oh, yeah.
Or 220.
Yeah. I think, well, we were talking about this in the pre-show. I get the drive towards the 4K stuff. We've never had a need for it. We have had a couple people ask for 4K recordings in studio.
Yep.
But not live. And so we can accommodate that.
Here's the thing. Your 85-inch at home, I look awesome on that at 4K 60. Go home tonight and watch the show and look at me. Don't look at yourself. Look at me, 4K 60. And you're going, damn, that looks good. Gee whiz. And the 60 makes it like I was in the next room. It's so smooth. Now you're not getting that now because you're getting 720 low bandwidth from me, because I'm internet restricted here.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the YouTube channel right now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, you look pretty good.
Well, that may not, that may be 4K 60, that may not. It's whatever YouTube decides you're capable of receiving. But you'll have to force it.
I can force it.
You can force it.
That's what I'm doing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when we were doing the show, I had it like at 360, so I wasn't using up a bunch of bandwidth. I just wanted to see what was going on.
Right.
But yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks good.
And the deal is, for people that consume the content on a big screen, 4K is going to be the standard.
Yeah.
8K's out there, baby.
Yeah.
vMix is going to be, they haven't said this, but vMix is going to be doing an 8K version of vMix. Maybe.
Are they?
They better. They want to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
and vMix is the one that's always way ahead of the curve. They had vMix call out before that was a thing. They had vMix social out before that was a thing. They were the first ones with SRT. They were the first ones with NDI. vMix has always been able to look out there into the future and say, okay, what is the next big thing? We want to get ready for it. 8K, it's premature, but not for everybody. They've already you've already can do 240 frames a second video. Did you know that? vMix will do 240 FPS. Why? Really? Instant replay.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Okay, other questions. Let's see.
Favorite travel light. Well, we have what we call our Jesus lights, which I forget what the model is. They're $1,200 a piece, and they're the big, the spotlight with the big deal on it, and they're great. They light up like crazy. I forget what it is. I can set that up for you or get that information to you later. But the good news now is with these PTZ, or I'm sorry, with the Bird Dog cameras, I don't worry nearly as much as I used to about lighting. And if we do it, we charge for it, obviously. But and that's the other thing that we didn't really talk about is just the business of what you're charging for. Like we charge a pre-production cost for every live stream we do, and and I don't know if people are doing it now, but in the beginning, no one was doing that. But we spent a lot of time in pre-production with folks, meeting with them, front of shows, checking assets, all that kind of stuff. That's a valuable service that helps them too. So if it's valuable, it's chargeable. So we charge for it.
There you go.
If not NDI, then SRT. SDI, this is Bill Mew. So we use SDI as our primary in from cameras. We also use SRT if we're doing remote. Like, for example, we had, right after Thanksgiving, I got COVID. And we had a gig in our studio that I was supposed to direct, but obviously I wasn't going to go in there. So we arranged it where all the cameras there SRT'd into my vMix here. And then I sent a feed back there. They put it on a monitor with a speaker so I could direct from here. And they could see it there. I could hear it there. It was fantastic. That was all SRT.
That's
And
cool.
I could move the cameras too remotely. That was cool.
That's cool. That's
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. You may do more of that. Especially
I want to.
I mean, you think about it. If you're doing something remote, you only send half the crew out there. They set up the cameras.
Right.
They set up some, lighting, audio, confidence monitor, and then they go away.
Yep, exactly. And Nick and I have been playing with that concept for a while now. The thing for us is we had to figure out the remote control aspect of the NDI or of the PTZ cameras. We're using these sonic wall routers, which allow us to do a VPN. And so now it's just like they're sitting right next to me. So that we figured that part out. But the part that's always the real problem is the bandwidth.
Yes.
Right. If I'm sending 3 SRT streams from there to me, that's 12 to 15 megs of bandwidth. Well, if the upload capability is 10, can't do it.
Right.
So that's the real problem is venue bandwidth capabilities for that kind of remote stuff. Now, if it's 100, it doesn't matter. But like I said before, in a lot of our customers' experience, if they're here for a conference, they're getting just abused when it comes to what they're paying for internet access. So they want to go as low as possible.
I can't believe that's not going to fix itself at some point.
It's a monopoly. It won't. So here, at least here in Vegas, and this is the way in a lot of conference venues, they have a single contract with a single provider that does the wired connection. Like here, it's Cox. And you want a 2 or 3 meg upload? Yeah, it's going to be $5,000 a day.
Yeah, but somebody's going to invent. Well, that's the wrong color. Somebody's going to invent a thing that I can put in my pocket that gives me 100 up.
Yeah.
From the deepest, darkest basement of.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's that part because Live View does that in essence, right? I can bond AT&T, Verizon, and whoever
T-Mobile,
together.
Yeah.
And we have a Live View. We've used it in a number of locations. We've done a couple remotes where there was no internet anywhere, and we use Live View, and it works great. But it doesn't work in the depths of the C Hall at the Vegas Convention Center. It's and the other problem, of course, is that there's 1,000 people blogging and emailing and FaceTiming and doing live stuff and just eating up all of Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile's bandwidth. And I can't have a path that's just for me. I can't buy that.
No guarantee. That's right.
So that's the risk with that is I just can't buy it. So we've done it a couple of times where we're out in the boondocks and it's clear skies, relatively safe. But if somebody says, actually, we turned down a deal at I think it was T-Mobile Arena because they're like, we don't want to use their internet. I'm like, well, then you're not going to do a live stream.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to go in there in the middle of that place and try to live out of there. This is not going to happen.
Tell the folks a little bit about your gig with Rolling Stone.
It was a good gig. So that was initiated through SEO, search engine optimization. I had spent a bit of early last year really focusing my attention on the SEO aspects of PodWorx, which is a parent company to everything. And so I rebuilt the website, spent a lot of time on SEO for a number of different keywords, and they discovered me through a Google search, just a regular Google search. It wasn't a paid search. And they brought in, and basically the way we're doing it now is any new lead I give to Nick and let him run it. And so if he closes that deal, he gets a relatively high, a good percentage of that deal. And we've spent a number of years working together on teaching them how to have those stories. And so they same as usually they're asking a couple of questions. We ask them a number of diagnostic questions and issue and implication questions to help them uncover that we're smart and that we knew stuff. And then we came up with a proposal, and the proposal is we have a nice written email-based proposal that I require Nick to do a Zoom call with. We never send proposals out without first reviewing it because you can't answer objections if you do that. And half the things that we talk about, people won't know.
Right.
And we do it. We have a technique that talks about teaching people what live streaming is. Actually, one of the questions I ask everybody is, how much do you know about live streaming? And almost nobody will claim complete understanding of any topic. And I've asked that, by the way, to people who are very, very good at live streaming. And they're like, well, I don't know everything. Well, shit, you're pretty good at this. But most people don't know it all.
Right.
And so one of the first things we do is we teach. Right? Telling is not selling, teaching is. So we teach them the 4 steps to live streaming. And at the end of that 5-minute talk, people thank us all the time. And that separates us from the competitive herd. So we talked about their needs, and basically it was a simple shoot. It was a 3-camera shoot. They wanted the special cameras that I mentioned before, the Mark whatever, blah, blah, yada, yada, couldn't care less. And so we farmed that out to another crew here that's all they do is that kind of stuff. So we use them for that. And they liked what we said and what we sounded like, and we booked that deal. It was a lot of fun. We shot it in an old 70s recording studio in the back behind a record store in downtown Vegas. And, I would say 95% of the people, the artists who came in, I've never heard of them, except for Shaggy. Shaggy, I knew. He was a very nice guy. It was fun. It was a good time.
So is there going to be a repeat?
Don't know. They they all liked it, and they're saying, we can't wait to see it next year, but that doesn't mean anything. Hopefully it will be, because that company, Rolling Stone, bought the Life is Beautiful festival. So that means they own the whole shooting match. They had just bought it right before last year, but they didn't take control of all the media. So next year they're going to be doing their broadcasting outside of just what we did for them. So who knows? I mean, it's a lot of opportunity for us there for sure. I don't know what their requirements are yet.
So they haven't asked you to go to Dallas or Chicago or New York yet?
No, and they have been to those, like they were at SW or South by Southwest, I think the week after or something like that. And they just did some local guys there. And quite frankly, it showed. They weren't very good.
You think they noticed
True.
that it showed?
I don't know. Yeah, well, part of it is they have to understand and recognize the reason why that might matter, right? We call it poisoning the well. So if you do stuff, this happens a lot with people who do their own videos, whether it's just videos online or live stuff. If you do bad videos, you almost never know you're doing it because people don't like to deliver bad news, right? I don't want to call my friend Dave and go, hey, Dave, those videos you're doing are terrible. You should stop, because Dave will feel bad if I tell that to him. So I'm not going to tell him, and your competitors aren't going to tell you because they want you to do bad videos. And your customers and your prospects aren't going to tell you because it's not their job to teach you. So what ends up happening is you're creating all this bad stuff. You're poisoning your own well, and you don't know. So I don't know if they know or not. And you got to be careful. We actually had that conversation. Like, do we want to talk to them about, they're screwing up a couple things here, because people don't like to be delivered bad news.
Right.
Not until they ask for it. Now, if they ask me for feedback, then I can say, well, you may want to, zig here instead of zag.
Right.
But you've got to be cautious about just, pissing on somebody's cereal, basically.
Yeah. Even though it may have other stuff in it. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to be careful.
Words of
How do I
wisdom
bring
here,
in
folks.
remote guests? Bill wants to know that we use vMix call. pretty much exclusively. We haven't used Zoom iOS or ISO. When that first came out, actually, Tom and I were talking about this before the show. When that first came out, I looked at it and I didn't like the interface. It seemed a little clunky. I hear it's a lot better now. And we're not a Mac house specifically, but I do have a Mac Airbook. So we're thinking about playing along with it because it does seem pretty interesting. And we've done occasional Zoom interface, but I happen to like the vMix call thing as a practice. And there's other solutions out there that look really powerful, but again, I was mentioning to Tom, they have some VPN problems where they get blocked. So if as an example, if we have a client that's going to be using vMix call, we charge ahead of time to do a technical consultation. So we don't let them just come in and hope it's all going to be good. I get on them ahead of time, phone call, check their equipment, make sure everything's working, and then we do a vMix call to make sure that it's going to work. And then we basically require that they use the exact same setup when they contact us for the gig, for the event. And I would say about 80% of them do.
80%. Well, we have here at the Streaming Idiots Network, we have pretty high standards too. I mean, I think we required you to be here for a 30-second tech check.
Yeah, we don't do that. Practice.
No. Yeah, the first thing Scott said was, "I hear an echo," and I said, "Oh, well, let me turn this off." 5 years ago, it would have taken me 3 hours to figure out what to turn off.
That's so funny. That's funny.
And then I say,
this little show of yours is making you some money, brother.
Me?
Yeah.
No. It's just fun. It's just fun. But here's the weird thing from my business standpoint is here is a show called Streaming Idiots, where we are setting the bar so low, you can't even crawl under it. You've got to exceed the bar. But the clientele that I get from this doggone show is just way disproportionate to the low expectations that I set.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I'm a liar.
Well, that's the first sign of recovery is to admit your problem. Well done.
I think I'm saying that I'm setting a low bar, and a lot of people are saying, "Crap! If that's a low bar, I want his low bar."
Yeah.
Because he looks good, he sounds good, he screws up, but he's an idiot. Of course, he's going to screw up because he's an idiot. But he's obviously got some stuff figured out. And he's always doing dumb stuff and trying things that work or don't work. And there are people that are just intrigued by that. I just signed a deal with a major university here in Alabama to provide instant replay equipment to their athletic department that they'll use for their Division I athletic competitions.
Nice.
I've got a Fortune 500 company that I've been doing business with for 6 years that sends me tons of business, almost too much, but careful what you complain about. And that doesn't fit with this persona that I'm throwing out there in that sense. So I'm a liar.
That's funny.
I'm not
really. You do the quiet confidence thing. The oh shucks thing is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not really an idiot. Well, I am, but yeah.
According to Biz Shorty, you are his leader, their leader. Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, here's the thing, Scott. If you look around the population, there really are the majority idiots. And so if you want to be a leader of people, be the leader of the idiots, and you've got a lot of folks that'll go with you. And
what's funny about that? what's funny about that line is I teach this in sales, and that is, you've heard the term "the customer is always right," right? That's a thing that most people believe in, and that's how you manage your business and all that. And it's the biggest lie there ever is. The customer is always wrong. Otherwise, why would they hire me? My job is to make them right. So I've heard people say, well, I get intimidated if this person, when I'm talking to this person, I'm like, well, hold on. If they're talking to you, it's because they don't know something. So don't freak out about that. Just teach them, get in a better place. So yeah, the customer is always wrong. It's an important cornerstone of my business model.
Yep. And my business model is I'm just as wrong as they are. And we'll stumble through this together. Yep.
Yeah.
Biz, thanks for the setup on that one. The check is in the mail. Yeah, there you go.
Have you tried vMix UTC? No, I haven't. Have you, Tom?
I don't even know what it is. I mean, keep in mind who you're talking to here.
No, I don't.
UTC. It doesn't have an
I'll tell you what I like is, a good stream deck. And by the way, I ran my live streaming business, when I started live streaming in professionally 2009 until probably just 2 or 3 years ago with just a keyboard, just a QWERTY keyboard. That's it.
Yeah, but
Never
you came
used
from
an
a
XD, didn't use
TriCaster.
it.
You came from a TriCaster background.
That's why
you had 10,000 buttons.
Well, no. I didn't use their big, their
control
whatever
service.
that thing's called.
Oh, uh-huh.
I didn't use their control services ever. I've never used a control. $5,000? You got to be kidding me. No, I used a regular QWERTY keyboard for everything. And as a matter of fact, when I get a new vMix setup, the first thing we do is duplicate a lot of the default at least the old TriCaster buttons. So 1 through 9 or 1 through 10 is preview or inputs 1 through 10. F1 through F10 is take for those things. So I can do it all from here. And then like A, S, D, F are overlays 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I use them as a hover. So I can hover over something, anything I want, and then hit A, and that will allow me to then bring up, in this case, that lower third. And that's all from the TriCaster world.
How
Pretty
about
cool.
that? Yeah. So
then we started doing some X-Key stuff, and now I've got a Stream Deck that we use the companion software, which is really impressive.
Cool.
Universal title control. Yeah, it's a control panel alternate to Stream Deck. Yeah, yes, I knew that. I just didn't talk about that. But it's basically a touch screen or iPad or something like that, and I don't want to screw with that. So I use a Behringer XA or XR18 audio interface a lot, which is a really nice audio interface, 18 inputs, impossible to find now. But the interface has to be an iPad. Well, it's a screen-based interface, so iPad, Android, or your computer. And it took a while for me to, get the hang of being comfortable with screen-based controls, because you just don't have the same resolution, if you will, of touching, or maybe touching the wrong thing or whatever. But the XR18
muscle memory
is one of my favorite audio interfaces.
Yep.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. Muscle memory.
Yep. I mean, I know just by putting my hand on my keyboard where my cough button is. I don't even have to look at the keyboard.
Nice.
Yep. Not that I ever use it.
I just don't. I don't have a cough button. I don't know if I should have a cough button.
Well,
I don't know.
Back during COVID, it was a thing.
I remember the first time you were in our studio, I asked you, teach me something that I don't know about vMix. And what you said was, you can click and drag a file from the file manager right into vMix. And I thought, oh, okay. This guy knows stuff.
He may be an idiot, but he
I
knows
was
stuff.
very excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we really want to know is, are you a beast on that guitar or is it props? I'm pretty good. Go to my Facebook page, and you'll see a bunch of reels under the title of "Your Dad Rocks," and I think we've had 26,000 views of me playing the opening parts to a bunch of rock songs. So yeah, I
Just
do
for
all right.
fun. Just for fun.
Just for fun. Yeah, that's good.
Well, my friend, you've been a champ. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for
It
having
is
me on.
very,
It's been
it
fun.
is very cool to hang out with you. I mean,
Let's do it again sometime.
That was my absolute favorite part of 2022 was hanging out with you and Nick and Sandy after the Streaming Idiots meetup at your studio.
Yeah.
And just talking BS. I don't know, we talked 90 minutes, something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That was just the
That's
best.
good.
That was the best. Thank you.
I appreciate that. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
All right. For anybody that's made it this far, and there are a few people left.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. Good.
Thanks everybody for the questions. It's fun. I enjoy it.
All
you want
right.
to learn how to sell stuff? Scott Whitney Academy. Idiots, 50% off.
Yeah, they already know that. I mean, they already know that you know. The question is, do they need? Or do they realize they need? Yeah.
Oh, there's a bunch of people who went there.
Yep. Good. Good. Thank you, baby.
Cool.
It was fun.
All right.
Scott's the bomb. Later, dude. All right.
Baby. Peace.
Cool. We're going to kill the stream and then we'll